Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be trying to look at the months January through December for the year 2021 for the Divine Masculine. So I'm also going to be doing a Divine Feminine read right after this one, so stay tuned. I'm also using two new decks, Tarot in Wonderland and Energy Oracle cards. So I'm going to shuffle these up and we'll begin. Check out how big this book is, you guys. Look at how beautiful the pictures are. Super happy with this purchase. Okay guys, so it turns out there is no reverse meanings in the book, so these cards are meant to be read upright. So I'm going to start with the Nine of Swords. January 2021 for the Divine Masculine is the Nine of Swords. In a reading, this card describes those nights we all hate. We can't sleep because we are worried about something. So many things can cause this, such as regret over an action or a careless word, a bad decision, an upcoming confrontation, or disastrous possibilities that may or may not ever occur. If the problems that plague you are things that you can do something about, then get out of bed, make a list, and write out what you will do the next day. Maybe you need to apologize to someone. Perhaps you can revise or alter a decision. Role-playing can help plan for a difficult conversation. Worrying about possible worst-case features can be more difficult, although you can also spend your energy figuring out what you would do if the worst happens, rather than just worrying about whether it will or not. Swords is the suit of logic and planning. Knowing that these nights come to all of us, experiment with techniques until you find one that works for you, that helps you find repose in the face of uncertainty. It is easy to let our thoughts control us, but they are just thoughts. You can choose to let them pass by or let them come in and take over. So the Nine of Swords represents obsessive thoughts, sleepiness, nightmares, regret, worries, guilt, despair, and oppression. Okay, let's move on to February. February is the Death card. In a reading, death means that something has ended, and after such a loss, nothing will ever be the same again. I read once about a village where somebody died. Everyone in the village changed something about their house or yard in solidarity with the bereaved family, noting that their world is no longer the same as it was. We like to assign good or bad to experiences. It is human nature. With the experience of death, we should resist this temptation. Death is a part of life and is neither good nor bad. If there is any goodness or badness, it is in how we experience and relate to death. So February's card, Death, symbolizes rebirth, endings, mortality, loss, change, failure, destruction, severing ties, transitions, transformation, inexorable force, elimination, and death itself. Let's move on to March, the Emperor. In a reading, the Emperor reminds us that we are the stewards of our own lives, as well as active participants in our own societies. The Empress teaches us that there is a season for everything. The Emperor heeds her teaching and knows that food will not be readily available all the time, and therefore creates structure to ensure that his people can survive the winter. Likewise, we must pay attention to our resources and think of future needs to plan accordingly. Even when we are planning our own lives, when we act as emperors for ourselves, our actions affect others as well as the world around us. A true emperor has a long and broad vision. In shamanic understandings, whether an individual does or doesn't agree with their culture, everyone is encouraged to accept their responsibility in creating that culture. It is easy to blame a single person or group of people as emperors for the sad state of affairs. Spiritual and moral responsibilities for our society lies with each and every one of us. We are all emperors, and hopefully we will all try as hard as the dodo to do the best we can with what we have. So for the masculine, March is represented by the Emperor: stability, structure, power, authority, leadership, control, protection, stewardship, order, boss, fatherhood, father, ambition, reason, logic, and confidence. Let's move on to April, the Six of Wands. In a reading, this card reminds us that victories do not happen in a vacuum. No hero has ever achieved glory entirely on his own. A good victor remembers that and makes sure that all who supported the mission are remembered and honored as well. Those who help make such achievements possible should always remember they are also supporting themselves, because whenever greatness touches one person in the community, it touches everyone in that group. Whether you are a leader or a foot soldier or a cook, it takes everyone's best efforts to accomplish something of value. Work together, stand together, be stronger and better together. So, April 2021 is represented by Six of Wands: victory, honor, achievement, recognition, pride, public ceremony, accolades, accomplishment, success, and triumph. Next, we move on to May, justice. In a reading, justice promises that justice will be served. The questions that remain are these: who is serving up the justice, and what type will it be? If we are on the receiving end, will we get what we deserve as determined by those sitting in judgment? Over this, we have little control. Although we can take a lesson from the king and make sure our facts are in order and are clearly understood by all involved, if we are the ones sitting in judgment, we should note here that the justice card has far more to do with judgment than the card named judgment. We have the opportunity to pick which face of justice we wish to embody. Will we forgive others as we would wish to be forgiven, or shall we demand our pound of flesh? So, karma, cause and effect, equality, truth, responsibility, integrity, fairness, judgment, contract, legal action, lawsuit, or trial. Let's move on to July, Two of Cups. In a reading, this card marks the beginning of a possible intense and long-term relationship. It's common to assume this means a romantic relationship, but it can be any sort. Keep in mind this card acknowledges the potential of such a relationship. It does not guarantee it. If you've ever met someone that you just clicked with, then you understand exactly what this card means. It's that little spark of excitement when some part of your soul recognizes a kindred spirit. Just because there is that connection doesn't mean it will blossom into something more, but there is definitely something worth investigating. The relationship doesn't have to be with another individual. It can be with a group, a new interest, a skill, an author, etc. June is represented by the Two of Cups, union, partnership, connection, falling in love, love at first sight, harmony, love, feeling in love, kindred spirit, attraction, and romance. Let's move on to July, 10 of Swords. In a reading, this card shows that finally the thing we feared has happened. In a way, it was a relief because at least now it is over. For some people, the anticipation is worse than the actual event. Now that the moment has passed, it is time to think about picking ourselves up, dusting ourselves off, and regrouping. The sky gives us two messages. First, when read at sunset, it reminds us that the situation we hope to avoid is over. Second, when read at sunrise, it encourages us with a fresh start and a new day. We can collect ourselves, attend to our wounds, and move on. If we are wise, we will analyze the situation and see if we can learn any lessons so that we can avoid similar circumstances in the future. Even if we discover that we could have done something differently, it is important not to beat ourselves up over it and end up revisiting the Nine of Swords, but rather make a commitment to not making the same mistake again. So July is represented by the Ten of Swords, surrender, ending, disaster, defeat, ruin, stop fighting, giving in, giving up, and acknowledging an ending. Let's move on to August, the Eight of Wands. In a reading, this card lets you know that things will move much faster than anticipated. It also suggests that although there is potential for chaos, as indicated by the playing cards, that chaos never manifests. Instead, things always reach their logical conclusions. Albeit with more speed than anyone might have anticipated, the speed does create an opportunity for one to throw a wrench into the works. Though, if things are moving toward an end that is not desirable, simply get in the way of one moving part and the rest will fall apart. It is a risk though, because when chaos is courted, there is no way to predict the outcome. So August is represented by the Eight of Wands, speed, swiftness, events set in motion, travel, messages, communication, things running smoothly, reasonable consequences, and expected results. September, we have Temperance. In a reading, Temperance is an invitation to practice mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual maturity, agility, and poise. The opposite of maturity and agility is, of course, immaturity, inflexibility, and instability. Being temperate means that you are in control of yourself. You have the maturity to assess situations from a broader perspective. You have the agility to alter your responses to suit any situation. You have the grace to make such changes look easy. Temperance is the beautiful embodiment of wisdom. It is where theory and proclaimed beliefs have become such a part of you that you express them quite naturally. So September is represented by temperance, self-control, balance, moderation, harmony, synthesis, patience, health, combination, blending, management, unification, synergy, guides, and angels. For October, we have the Nine of Pentacles. In a reading, this card is usually very welcome, especially by those who like to work hard and be in control of their resources. It pretends success and happiness earned by your own hand. Everything can be exactly how you like it, just as you've always imagined. There is the tiniest bit of caveat, though. Alice is alone and has created a very large garden that separates her from the rest of the world. This is fine. Many people prefer solitary lives. However, if you are not one of them, remember that material achievements are awesome. But if they come at the expense of personal relationships, the trade-off may not be worth it. Perhaps then, a little compromise is in order. So, October is represented by the Nine of Pentacles. Discipline, self-confidence, individual achievement, material wealth, safety, security, and solitude. November is the Page of Swords. In a reading, the Page of Swords, like all pages, can be a young person. They can also be someone who is taking on new responsibilities or beginning to explore new ideas. They are interested in language and communication, taking pleasure in the sounds of words and the precision of their meanings. This means that they can be a little snobby and maybe a bit of a know-it-all. Because this page has such a logical mind and a keen eye, they can be brilliant problem solvers with excellent out-of-the-box thinking. And they can, I'm sorry to say, be something of a gossip. Don't laugh at their funny affections. Take their ideas seriously, and you'll have a great support person at your side. So, November is represented by the Page of Swords, a message, student, young or inexperienced person, supporter, enthusiasm, keen eye, gossip, lover of words, and eager to begin. Finally, we've come to December, the King of Cups. In a reading, the King of Cups values the leadings of his heart and relationships. He has ideals, but is not naive. The world is not always kind to dreamers and the tender-hearted. His own heart has probably suffered, which gives him the ability to empathize with others. However, he is not a bleeding heart. As a king archetype, he knows that one must be wise in the ways of the world and cunning enough to outwit those who work against him. Knowing the system is essential because you can't play the game if you don't know the rules. To enlist the sympathy of this person, be sincere and make sure your idea truly serves a greater good in some way. He is not interested in overthrowing the system, so revolutionaries of that sort need not apply. Instead, if you want to work with the system to create good in the world, the King of Cups can be a good ally. So December is represented by the King of Cups. Authority figure, power, decision maker, experience, idealistic, empathetic, but not a pushover. Values and strong ideas. Wow, guys. Okay, let's take a look at the strategy card, number 21. When the strategy card is reversed, it indicates a stall in progress due to lack of planning. You may have a goal in mind, but no specific ideas about how to achieve it. Or you may have found that your original plans have hit a wall, and now it's time to reevaluate things. If this is the case, remember that the path of least resistance may be tempting, but it rarely leads anywhere new. Don't let the mundane tasks of life eat up all your time and take you off course. Instead of floundering and wandering around in confusion, put some significant mental effort into starting or renewing a comprehensive plan of attack. This card reversed is warning you to get out of the role of a passive observer and become the authority and director of your own destiny. Okay, so Divine Masculine, you need to plan the necessary steps to achieve your goals. You need to take action in the right direction. Be flexible, persistent, and most of all, be prepared. Wow, guys, that was a lot. I hope this has helped somebody in some way. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to do a Divine Feminine reading for 2021 as well. Please stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.